What's up, everybody? Here we are, college basketball. We got a nice little Draftkings slate here with 10 games. It's a big day college basketball. This is just an early slate, so games start at 12, and the last game is at 4 on this slate. We're going to get into all of that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I don't even know if we have any viewers in here right now. Only a few, but that's okay. Let's just start out talking about the slate today. It's 10 games. There's really not like a ton of super cheap value I could find, so I think today's going to be more of a balanced build day because there's also really not a ton of super top-heavy price players that I feel like we need to get into lineups either, so I don't think we need to find super cheap value for today, but there is still some value to get into. Let's just talk about the first game I'm going to talk about is Duke at Louisville. This game has an implied total of 141. It's going to be one of the slower total games on the day, so it's not a game I'm really all that interested in, especially from the Duke side. Duke only has an implied team total of 69.5, with Louisville getting 71.8. When you go look at the pace, it's going to be a slower pace game and a 69.85 pace game, so that is not the ideal pace that I would really want to get at. But the one guy I would be interested in on Duke, I think, is going to be Jeremy Roach. Now, Duke has kind of just been frustrating. Their minutes are all spread out like every single game. Like they're just not playing their consistent players like 30 minutes. Like some games, Wendell Moore is getting 30 plus. Some games he's getting like 10. So it's just frustrating like that. But Jeremy Roach has been consistent in the minutes. I gave him 38 today. Actually, he's only $6,000. He's only a .66 point per minute guy, but he does have a usage rate 19.3 and an assist rate of 18.3. And at $6,000, that's just going to grade out pretty well. I wouldn't call him like a top tier option on this slate, but I do think he is solid. I don't think you need to get Jeremy Roach, but if I want to get any exposure from Duke, that's probably the only place I'm going to go. I just don't really trust the minutes for any of these guys, except for Matthew Hurt as well, but he's too expensive for me to really want to play him. On the Louisville side of this game, though, I am interested in a lot of these guys because this is actually, it isn't the fastest paced game, but it is a pace up spot for Louisville, so that is going to mean that they're going to be playing faster than normal and that they're all going to be a little bit underpriced for that pace of a matchup. So Carl Jones is going to be the first guy I'm interested in. He's their best player. He's $8,800. I gave him 36 minutes. He's a .9 point per minute guy with a usage rate of 27.3 and an assist rate of 26.1. That grades out really well for $8,800. I don't think you need to get there, though. Like I said, I don't think you need to pay up for a ton of these players, say, on the slate, but I think he's fine and he's worth a shot. Quinn Slazinski at $4,100 grades out pretty well, too. I gave him 23 minutes. He's $4,100. He has a .6 point per minute with a usage rate of 15.4 and an assist rate of 10.6. Or rebound rate 10.6, my bad. I mean, he doesn't look like the best play, but $4,100, he can get more than 23 minutes. We've seen him get that in games this year, so I think he's fine. I don't think he's a lock player or anything. David Johnson I do like a lot, though. He's $6,200. I gave him 34 minutes. He's a .8 point per minute guy with a usage rate 22.7 and assist rate 22.9 in an up-tempo game for him at $6,200. I'd like that a lot. DeAndre Davis is $4,500. I gave him 25 minutes. He's only a .5 point per minute producer, but he has a usage rate of 16.3, and he's going to play up close to 30 minutes. So I think DeAndre Davis actually looks like a pretty solid option. He's definitely someone that I would like a good bit. And then Jalen Withers is $6,500. And over the last month, we've just seen his minutes go up and up and up. And he got 36 last game. He's probably going to get around that again at $6,500. He's a .8 point per minute player, usage rate 19.3, and an assist rate of 17.2. That looks pretty solid. I don't think you have to get there, though, but I do think that Jalen Withers is a pretty good play. Next game I'm going to talk about is North Carolina versus North Carolina State. And North Carolina is also like Duke, where like some games you're seeing Leaky Black, you have 30 minutes. Some games you're seeing Caleb Love, you have 30 minutes. But other games you're seeing him get like 15, 20. So it's kind of hard to judge on that, to gauge on that one. But this game is going to be a game I'm kind of interested to get to. It has a total of 147.5. Carolina has an implied team total of 77.5, and NC State has an implied total of 71. That's going to grade out pretty well for me. So I think the guys I'm going to be interested in are Leaky Black. Yeah, I mean, there's one game in the last like few weeks where he's not played a ton of minutes. I think Leaky Black's probably the safest option if you want to get someone from Carolina. He's $5,600. They give him 30 minutes. I'm not really expecting like a super ceiling game here, though. He has a point per minute of .73, a usage rate of 14.2, and an assist rate of 14.4. It's fine. He's cheap enough that I think that's worth getting to, but I don't think you need to get him. Caleb Love's $5,400. Caleb Love, see, this is one of the players that some games he plays a lot of minutes, and some games he's not really playing a ton, but his upside is so high. He's a really talented guard, one of the highest recruits in the country, and we've seen him have ceiling games this year. I gave him 32 minutes today. He had a .6 point per minute, which isn't great, but if he starts hitting his threes he's going to be a great play. So Caleb Love is definitely a tournament play for me. I think he's got upside, but I wouldn't, he doesn't have a high floor at all. So definitely not a cash game play, but tournament upside play for sure. Garrison Brooks is $7,000. He's another one that's actually been getting consistent minutes. I gave him 33 today, but sometimes he starts and sometimes he comes off the bench. He's a 0.8 point per minute guy, a usage rate of 19.9, an assist rate of 10, and a rebound rate of 13.6. He's worth that price tag. I mean, again, this isn't a lock button, but I do like Garrison Brooks today. I'm going to get my fair share of Garrison Brooks today. So he's definitely someone I'm interested in. Kerwin Walton has been the guy that's kind of found his way into his Carolina rotation. He's been starting recently and playing minutes. Gave him 25 minutes today. He's not even a bad fantasy producer, 0.7. It's not great, but it's not bad. Usage rate 16.4 and assist rate 21.7 in a high scoring game, which is supposed to be. I think Kerwin Walton could be a pretty good value. He's someone I definitely like to go to. And on the other side of this game, NC State side. So Manny Bates is questionable for this game. We'll see if he plays. If he doesn't play, that's going to give a lot more minutes to DJ Funderburk, who will probably start center, and it's just going to be a good play at that point. So be sure to look out for that one. We won't know that for a little bit. So DJ Funderburk would be a good play if Manny Bates were to miss this game. Give him 29 minutes. And Manny Bates missed the last game, so I don't think he's playing today, by the way. So that's just my thought on it. I give him 29 minutes. He's a 0.9 point per minute producer with a usage rate 21.3 and a rebound rate of 14.2. He's just kind of one of those big centers, just grabs the boards, puts them back. So that looks like a pretty solid option there at $5,600. Shaquille Moore is $4,900. I gave him 26 minutes. He's a 0.8 point per minute producer, usage rate of 21.6, and an assist rate of 13.5. He's also someone who might benefit a little bit from Manny Bates being out. If he were to be out, he'd probably pick up a few minutes. And then Devin Daniels is the best player on his team at $7,300. I gave him 33 minutes, a 0.8 point per minute producer, usage rate 25.3, assist rate 17.8. He's probably the best play on this team, but I do like DJ Funderburk today. I think Funderburk grades out pretty well, especially if Manny Bates were to miss. Next game we're going to talk about is Clemson at Florida State, but I'm only interested on the Clemson side because I don't like playing anybody against Florida State or against Clemson. And then, Florida State has their minutes issues that I pretty much every time Florida State's on here, I complain about how Florida State spreads out their minutes between 15 players. It's not 15, but a lot of players with no one getting into the 30s. So except for maybe one player. So I don't like to. So now playing against Clemson, which is a brutal matchup for anybody, just one of the best defensive teams in the country. I'm not going to be interested in anybody from Florida State today. But on the Clemson side, there's a few spots to get to. This game has a total of 136.5. Clemson only has an implied total of 65.4. It's not great. This game is literally just a 0.18 below average pace for today. So that's fine. It's going to be a slight pace-up spot. But Clyde Trapp and John Newman are going to be the two guys I'm interested in. They're just cheap and they're going to play minutes. I gave Clyde Trapp 32 minutes today. He's $4,800. He's a 0.69 point per minute producer. Usage rate of 18.3. Assist rate of 14 and rebound rate of 11.9. Then John Newman's 4,000. He's going to play 29 minutes. He'd been out for a little bit and he got to start last game and play 29 minutes. So unless he doesn't start, then he's fine. So I guess pay attention to the starting lineup for Clemson. Make sure that John Newman's starting if you want to get him. But Clyde Trapp should be fine. That's definitely someone I want. So next game we're going to talk about is going to be Syracuse and Virginia Tech. This game has an implied total of 141.5, which is, okay, it's fine. Syracuse has a total of 72, and Virginia Tech has an implied total of 69.9, so that's going to look decent. This game's going to be an above-average pace game, a 72.7 pace game. Not bad. It's going to be a big pace down spot, though, for Syracuse, but a big pace up spot for Virginia Tech. So the only guy I'm interested in on Syracuse is going to be Merrick Dozage. He's $5,500. I gave him 35 minutes today. He's a 0.7 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 15.1 and an assist rate of 17.4. I think he looks like a pretty solid option on the slate. $5,500 is just too cheap for Dozage, in my opinion. He has some upside there at his price tag. He's a pretty good player, so definitely someone I would like to get to. And on the Virginia Tech side, Hunter Couture is $4,600. I gave him 26 minutes today. He's a 0.7 point per minute guy with a usage rate of 17.7 and an assist rate of 12.8. That looks fine as well. Tyrese Radford, $6,400. I gave him 32 minutes. He's a 0.7 point per minute producer. The usage rate is 17.5 and an assist rate of 14.3 and a rebound rate of 12.1. Justin Mutz is $5,500. I gave him 28 minutes. He's got a point per minute of 0.69, a usage rate of 17.4, and an assist rate of 13.7. Those three just look like pretty solid options. I think Tyrese Radford is probably my favorite play there, but Justin Mutz, if he gets a little bit more minutes, is going to be very interesting. Eson says top spread bets today. Any parlays? honestly, I was looking at him last night, or yesterday, it wasn't last night, but, and honestly, I'm kind of interested in the Oklahoma State 8.5 point spread. That I think Oklahoma State can hang with Baylor. I think they're better than a lot of people would think, but that's really all I was looking at. I don't usually bet on college, so yeah, I mean, but that 8.5 point spread for Oklahoma State over Baylor is interesting. I mean, Baylor hasn't lost the game yet, and I'm telling you, Oklahoma State's good. Cade Cunningham's good. Isaac Likely's good. That team's underrated. They should be ranked, in my opinion. I don't hate that. I don't even hate them for money line, which is scary, but that is an interesting one to look at. But yeah, I don't usually bet on college, so I'm not the person to ask on college basketball spreads. We'll go talk about South Carolina Auburn. This game is the highest total game on the slate for sure. It has an implied total of 155. This is the highest total game, right? Yeah, it's the highest total game. This is definitely a game that I want to attack. I mean, I always like attacking Auburn. They play really fast and they score a lot of points and allow a lot of points. So South Carolina has an implied total of 80.2 in this game. And the game paces has the fastest paced game of the day at 75.35, right? Yeah, this is the fastest paced game of the day, which is way above average, which is going to look really good for all the South Carolina guys, but especially Justin Minaya. I really don't know how to say his name. He's $7,100. I gave him 37 minutes today. He's a .78 point per minute guy, a usage rate of 13.6, an assist rate of 11, and a rebound rate of 13.4. He's going to play a lot of minutes, and he's $7,100. That's just something that I really like. He grades out really well for me. I was making Lions State, and I got a lot of him. He's one of my favorite plays of the day. He's just way too cheap, I think, for the upside he brings. Now we'll go talk about Maryland. They are going to be playing Minnesota today. Maryland's a team on the rise. They started out the season horrible, but they've really picked it up recently, and I think they might be able to make the tournament. That win over Illinois was huge. So Aaron Wiggins, Daryl Morcell, Hakeem Hart, Dante Scott, Galen Smith all look fine for me today. This game has an implied total of 145. Maryland has an implied total of 69.6. Minnesota's big favorites here at 76.2. But once again, I don't think this game is. I think this game is gonna be a lot closer than the spread suggests. When we go look at pace, it's gonna be slightly below average at 71.85. That's fine for me. It's not when you get the paces that are around average, that's all fine for me. Aaron Wiggins is gonna be the first guy I'm interested in on his team. He's $6,800. I think he's the best player on his team. People might disagree, but in my opinion, he is the best player on his team. He's playing a ton of minutes, a .84 point per minute guy, with a usage rate of 24.2 and an assist rate of 20. He's a great three-point shooter. That's for the most part what he's going to bring to the table here. Daryl Morcell is $5,900. I gave him 36 minutes. He's a .72 point per minute guy, with a usage rate of 21.5 and an assist rate of 19.6. That grades out pretty well as well. Hakeem Hart is $4,800. I'm going to give him a lot of minutes, and that's going to be a great value. I gave him 29 minutes. He's a .7 point per minute guy with a usage rate of 17.7 and an assist rate of 12.1. Dante Scott is $6,600. I gave him 37 minutes. He's a .97 point per minute producer, or .92 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 19.8 and assist rate of 13.4 and a rebound rate of 14.3. All four of those guys, man, they all look really good today. Minnesota's a fun team to play against because they play fast, and they give up a lot of points. It's like not as great Auburn or Alabama that you get to play against, but those are teams that is a team I do like to target, especially in the Big Ten. And these Maryland guys grade out well because they play really consolidated minutes over there. But then the one guy that is definitely only a tournament play, he's cheap, so just because he's cheap, don't blame him in cash, is Galen Smith. He has some games where he's playing upper 20 minutes, but there's other games where he plays 10. So if we're going to get a big-time minute game from him at $3,300, that's going to be an absolute smash value. When I give him 27 minutes, he is the best value on the entire slate right now, but there's no guarantee he's actually going to get those minutes. At .5 point per minute producer is a usage rate of 17.4 and a rebound rate of 11.3. He seems like a fine option in tournaments, but tournament only for sure. Up next we have let's talk about the Minnesota side of that game. Minnesota side of that game, Marcus Carr is always in play. He's $8,300. He plays a ton of minutes, almost a whole point per minute producer. Usage rate of 27.9 and assist rate of 34.1. He's one of the best players in the country, but no one knows about him. And he's just always in play for me. And 8,300 is honestly a little too cheap for him for the usage and assist rate he has. It is a kind of a tougher matchup against Maryland, but that's fine. I think he's definitely worth a shot today. And then Gabe Kalsher on the same team, $4,700. I gave him 34 minutes today. He's a .5 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 18.8, an assist rate of 10.9, and a rebound rate of 4.7. At $4,700 playing those amount of minutes, that's going to be a great value. Now we got the Wisconsin-Ohio State game, which might be the best game of the day, or at least on the slate it is. I honestly haven't even looked at the later slate of games. I have no idea who's playing later on tonight. But Ohio State-Wisconsin, this is a very, very good game. I think Ohio State is really good, and they get C.J. Walker back, who is a huge, huge get for them. This game isn't the best for DFS, though. Only has a total of 134. Wisconsin with a 69.6 total, and Ohio State at 64.8. When we go look at the pace, it's going to only have a pace of 69, which is going to be a really, really big pace down spot, so it's not a spot I want to attack way too much. The Wisconsin players that I'm interested in are going to be Tyler Wall and Brad Davison. Tyler Wall has picked up 2 straight starts for Wisconsin over Nate Reavers, which is kind of surprising because Nate Reavers was like a year ago, Nate Reavers was their best player. And I mean, he was doing really good this year, so I'm honestly surprised he's been starting and playing more minutes than him, but I mean, that's just what they're doing. Tyler Wall's been starting. I gave him 35 minutes today, $5,800. It's way too cheap for that amount of minutes. Same thing with Brad Davison. $5,400, 36 minutes. It's just way too cheap. Those are the type of guys I like to go for, guys that are going to play minutes, and they're just a little bit too cheap. And then C.J. Walker's back. I don't know, if he's going to start, how many minutes he's going to play. He's been out for the last 4 games of a hand injury, but he's cleared to return today. So this game doesn't start till 4. So we're going to have to really pay attention to starting lineups later on in the day, because if C.J. Walker's a starter and he plays 30 minutes, he is a massive value at $4,300. A usage rate of 18.2 and an assist rate 23.4 for 30 minutes for $4,300 is awesome. And we've seen games where he gets like 39 minutes. He has that kind of upside. I doubt he plays that in his first game back, but it is a big game against Wisconsin. They're coming off a bad loss earlier this week to, honestly, I forgot who it was. I think it wasn't Purdue. Purdue played Michigan last night. They lost to someone earlier this week that they should not have lost to. And maybe it was Maryland. I think it was Maryland that beat Ohio State. And they need a win, so having one of their best players back, they might just play him a ton of minutes. So C.J. Walker is definitely going to be in play for me. I have some C.J. Walker today, and he's definitely someone I want to get exposure to, especially if he's starting. So be paying attention to that. You can go find the Ohio State beat writers on Twitter. I'm not going to lie, I do not know their names right about now, but if you literally Google Ohio State beat writers, they'll tell you the starting lineup before the game starts. So you'll be able to find that out. Up next, we have Kansas and Oklahoma. This is going to be an interesting game. This game has a total of 142.5. Kansas has an implied total of 71.5. Oklahoma has an implied total of 70.2. This game has a pace of 71.65, which is going to be slightly under or slightly below average pace game, but nothing really too much to worry about. Kansas is going to be I cannot talk right now. Jeez. The 2 Kansas guys I'm going to be interested in are Marcus Garrett and Christian Brown. I gave Marcus Garrett 37 minutes today. He's a 0.7 point per minute guy. Usage rate of 16.1 and an assist rate of 21.7, and he's $5,700. Oklahoma's an interesting team to play against. I mean, they're kind of just a neutral team, not a bad team, not a good team. And Marcus Garrett brings us upside. He's one of the best defensive players in the country, which doesn't, lead to DFS, but he's going to be out there on the floor a lot. And Marcus Garrett's always someone, if he could just have a few more shots fall, he's going to be an absolute smash. So at $5,700, he's someone I'm going to be interested in. And it's the same thing for Christian Brown. If he can get a few more shots to fall, he's going to be a great play as well. Same price as Marcus Garrett. I gave him 35 minutes today. He's a 0.8 point per minute guy. Usage rate of 17.5, assist rate of 11.2. I'm going to like Marcus Garrett a little bit more because he's going to play a little bit more minutes. He's got a higher assist rate, but both of them look fine to me. And I think they're both pretty solid plays on this 10-game slate that not a lot of people are going to get. So those are going to, you could just, when you get some Kansas players that are a little bit cheap, it's just always something to really target a little bit. On the Oklahoma side, we're going to have Austin Reeves and Alondes Williams. Austin Reeves is $7,500. I gave him 39 minutes today. He's a 1.07 point per minute guy, with a usage rate of 25.7 and a rebound or an assist rate of 30.6. He's been their best player this year. Look, he's always in play. $7,500. He does everything for his team. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He has a high usage, high assist rate. I love Austin Reeves. And then Alondes Williams is $4,500. I gave him 25 minutes today. He's a 0.8 point per minute producer. Usage rate of 19.5 and assist rate of 14.8. So they're both going to look good. Now we're going to go look at Oklahoma State, who I'm telling you, this team's really good. Hope they get cleared to be able to play in a tournament this year, because we need Cade Cunningham in a tournament. This game has an implied total of 145.5. Oklahoma State only has an implied total of 68.2. When you go look at the pace of this game, it has a pace of 74, which is above average. It's going to be a good pace game to target. When you go look at Avery Anderson's going to be the first guy I'm interested in at $5,100. I have him projected for 32 minutes, a 0.7 point per minute producer, a usage rate of 17.5, and an assist rate of 12.8. And then Cade Cunningham, who may be the number 1 overall draft pick this year, if not, definitely top 5. He's $8,000. I gave him 39 minutes today. He's a 1.06 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 27.2 and assist rate of 21.6. Great player. It is a tough matchup. Playing guards against Baylor's backcourt is tough because Baylor has, one of the best defensive backcourts I've ever seen, period. It is tough to play against them, but they do play fast. And Cade Cunningham, if there's one guard in the country who could break that, you would think that could be Cade Cunningham. So I'm not scared to play him today at all against Baylor. Not really. It's just a great player. Now we're going to go talk about Creighton versus UConn. This is a big game too. These are 2 ranked teams, which I didn't realize UConn was ranked until this morning. I had no idea, to be completely honest. I was surprised by that. I didn't realize they were actually that good. But Creighton has been struggling they've lost the last 2 games. And Marcus Zagorowski played last game and they lost to Providence, right? I think it was Providence that they lost to. And they should not have lost that game, and they're going to try to bounce back here against UConn, but I wouldn't be surprised to see UConn win today. But anyway, Marcus Zagorowski is too cheap. He shouldn't be $6,900 at all. He's just way too good of a player to be $6,900. I gave him 36 minutes. He's a 1 point per minute producer. Usage rate 23.7 and assist rate 24.8. Yeah, we didn't talk about this game. This game has a total of 139. It's not great, but Creighton has an implied total of 72.7. UConn only 64.3. This is going to be a slightly above average pace game, but pretty much an average pace game. It's going to be a pace down spot for Creighton and a pace up spot for UConn, but both sides are fine. But yeah, Marcus Zagorowski is just too cheap. Damian Jefferson as well looks like a pretty solid play at $7,200. I gave him 36 minutes. He's a 0.9 point per minute producer, usage rate of 19.4, and assist rate of 16.2. I think he's fine at $7,200. And then Mitch Ballack as well is $5,600. I gave him 36 minutes. He's a 0.67 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 13.9 and an assist rate of 11.1. That as well just looks like a really good play here. Mitch Ballack, what he's going to bring he's a shooter, so if he's hitting his threes, he's going to be a good play. If he's not, he's not. So that's always only a tournament play. But Marcus Zagorowski is probably one of my favorite plays on the day overall. He's just $6,900 for Marcus Zagorowski is way too cheap. I know he's been kind of hurt, but he's been back for a few games now, and he should be able to get through it. So I think Marcus Zagorowski just grades out as one of my best plays overall. Then on the UConn side, we got Tyrese Martin and Isaiah Whaley. I'm always interested in these 2 guys because they both play a ton of minutes. They both have a high point per minute, and they're good usage and rebound rate players. Usage rate 20.4 and 17.7, and a rebound rate of 13.9 and 13.1. They're both around in the 7K range. They both look good. So Auburn in this game against South Carolina, we already talked about how this is the highest total game on the day at 154.5. Auburn has an implied total of 78, which I think is just the second highest total overall. Yeah, second behind South Carolina, who are playing in Baylor. So Auburn, in this game, we already know is one of the fast-paced games of the day at 75.35. Absolutely great fast-paced game. And then Sharif Cooper, man, ever since he played 4 games? He's one of the best players in the country. Gosh, I wish this guy played all year. He's been insane. I really like this guy. He's $9,200. You're going to have to pay for him, but man, his usage is super high. He's got a high point per minute at 1.5, 37 minutes. You're paying for it, but in a fast-paced game against a team who's not good defensively, I think he's worth it. Sharif Cooper is my highest-owned player today. I just think he's in a great spot, and the upside is just ridiculously high. So definitely interested there. And then Al Flanagan, yeah, he's lost some usage since Sharif Cooper's come in, but he's still fine, $6,700. He has a 0.9 point per minute, usage rate 22, and assist rate 19. And then Jalen Williams, also on this team, is $5,600. I gave him 23 minutes. He is a 0.9 point per minute producer, usage rate of 20.5, and an assist rate of 19.7. And then the last team we're going to talk about is the best team in the country, in my opinion, Baylor. I think they're going to win a national championship personally, and I still think they're going to lose to Oklahoma State today. But I think they're going to win a national championship. This team is the best. I think this is the best team I've seen since Virginia won. This team, they're very similar, and this team's good. Anyway, this game has a total of 154 or 145.5. Baylor has an implied total of 76.8 on their own. This game is going to be fast-paced. It's going to be 2 possessions higher than average on the day, so that's really good. And then you have 3 guys that 2 of them are great values. Adam Flagler, Mark Vital. Why are they so cheap? I don't know. They both play a lot of minutes. Vital gave 29, Flagler gave 25. 0.8 and 0.7 point per minute producers. Flagler has a usage rate of 18.5 and an assist rate of 12.6. Vital has a usage rate of 14.9 and a rebound rate of 15.1. looks like a fantastic play. And then Jared Butler, who is everyone's going to give Garza Player of the Year, but honestly, I think it should just be Jared Butler. He has been a star for this team this year. He's $8,700. I gave him 34 minutes. He's a 1.2 point per minute producer, usage rate of 27.3, and an assist rate of 32.7. An absolute star. I love him. I love all three of these guys today. I have a lot of them. This is a game both the Auburn South Carolina game and the Baylor Oklahoma State game. I have a ton of players from both sides. So, but yeah, that's really all I got on that. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Hit me up with some questions. If not, I'm probably just going to head out. But yeah. Man, I'm excited for college basketball today. I can't wait to just sit on the couch, eat a Zaxby's salad, and watch college basketball today. It is going to be a blast. Alright, doesn't look like we're getting any questions. If you have any questions, though, you can hit me up on Twitter. I put the link in my description here. It's at DFSNateLane on Twitter. Hit me up down there. I'll answer any questions for you. I think that's really all I got to say. Great rest of your day. If you want to get the spreadsheet and all the projections, is on the Patreon. $5 a month for every single slate, every single day. So be sure to check that out. Have a great rest of your day and make some money today because that's the goal always.